Hey, what's up, family? It's your man, Mark Black. You know what time it is. Happy hump day to you all. Do me a favor, fam. I've been noticing some issues with the setup here. So if you can hear me, go ahead and pop a 1 in the chat and just let me know if the sound sounds good, if I need to maybe alter the volume or something like that, right? I want to make sure that you have a good quality broadcast. So Ms. Denny says she can hear me. That's perfect. Let's see here. Yes, right. Thank you, fam. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me. I appreciate you. I didn't notice the music playing during the, during the, the time frame when we were waiting. So thank you all for being patient. So again, happy hump day to you all. Before we get started, just, a couple of things as per usual. One special thing first. My personal, for what it matters, condolences and heart goes out to the family of our beloved elder brother and now member of the ancestors, John Witherspoon. That brother brought so much life and humor and joy, not just to us as ADOS, but to the whole damn world. His transitioning, his death is a loss to us all. Um, Man, I'm not gonna lie. Each and every last one of you have your own favorite quotes, your own favorite lines from movies such as Friday. When he was doing the stuff with the Wayans brothers. I mean, Pops is gone. Yep, Pops passed, fam. And may he rest. May he enjoy a well-deserved rest among the ancestors. And I'm gonna let Boomerang. Yep, rest in power, brother. We miss you already. And I really truly believe that as much great comedic work as this man has done, his best was still yet to come. Like we truly lost a great one. And that's ADOS life in a nutshell. We lose the ones we wish we didn't, and we where we keep the ones we wish we didn't either. You know what I mean? Shalom, Sister August, I see you, fam. Let me go through and shout everybody out. Brother Cease is in the house. I see you. Easy Be Easy, fam. I see you. Void Ninja's in the house. Pretty Muslima's in the house. Sister August in the house. Miss Denny, of course, the inestimable is in the house. If you hear, fam, you know the rules. Pop in the chat and let me shout you out. You don't have to participate in the conversation, but I love to know that you're here. Agent Smith, good evening, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. Happy hump day to you, and thanks for joining us today. But yeah, I just wanted to give a special shout out to our esteemed brother and now newly minted ancestor, John Witherspoon. He will be missed, and I can't say any more than that, right? Not without getting choked up. So the second thing I want to make sure that I do is, fam, always check the links in the bottom in the description field of every video. There's links to reports there, links to information there, just to get you up on your ADOS advocacy. Brother Art, I see you, fam. Peace, esteemed brother, and welcome to the broadcast. There's also links to support my work. If you feel that what I do, is worthy of your love and support, Sister Monty, peace. I see you. Welcome to the broadcast and happy hump day to you. So, fam, today we're going to talk about a topic that I think, of course, has been long overdue in addressing. Because we've addressed this in various, I would say, social forums, right? But we haven't actually looked at this topic and how it affects us politically, economically, and so on and so forth. And the topic, fam, is intersectionality, right? Now, intersectionality, of course, fam, does not exist in a vacuum, right? Oh boy, Peach, I see you, fam. What's good? Welcome to the broadcast. Intersectionality, fam, is essentially the culmination of the hijacking of our attempts at making our justice claim come to fruition. And no, Pretty Muslima, not to the extent that I intend to address it today. You see, fam, one thing that you have to know is a common factor or a common feature, if you will, in any push that we make as ADOS toward driving America to justice. Alma, by the way, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Brother John, esteemed brother, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast and happy hump day to you. One thing that we have to understand, ADOS, is that for every step forward we take, there has been and always will be a backlash, right? There is never in the history of America anything that we have fought for, anything that we have busted down, broken through, or overcame, that there wasn't a concomitant backlash that followed. Now, we've survived every single one. Every single backlash America has attempted to throw at us, we have survived it. We have even in some cases thrived, right? So this is not to say that we should fear the backlash. I do not want to present you with a spirit of fear, right? But simply to understand the dynamic. We take one step forward, America takes as many steps back to push us as far back as they can. All right. Now, with the advent of the civil rights movement in the 1950s and the 1960s, we kind of noted as Brown v. Board in 54, kind of as the hallmark or the harbinger of what was to come. But really, truly, the civil rights movement started for us even as early as the late 30s, early 40s, right? You had American soldiers after the end of the Depression, black soldiers who went to war in World War II. They fought in the Pacific Theater, Midway, Iwo Jima, Guam. They fought in Europe, in the Battle of the Bulge. They fought in all the great fights, right? And were distinguished. We had gentlemen such as the Tuskegee Airmen who fought not just discrimination, but fought for the right to be fighter pilots in the military of their nation, and so on and so forth. And when these brothers returned from war, unlike what happened to our brothers that returned from war in World War I, there was a new attitude amongst these brothers, right? It was, no, we are not going to fight for this nation only to come home and have to fight our nation. No, justice will be the order of the day. And that idea kind of percolated through our communities. And so you see it building up steam. And then the breaking of the dam, the breaching of the dam with Brown v. Board, and the continued organization and movement of various groups and individuals. You, of course, had the Nation of Islam as early as the 30s, the 1930s, when Elijah Muhammad organized the first mosque, right? You had these disparate black groups that were starting to come to a group consciousness that said that we would no longer accept the status quo of Jim Crow. So now, we move into the 60s and we see not nearly enough of us, but enough collective black action to demand that Jim Crow go the way of the dinosaur. You know what I find interesting is we talked about this when we talked about the review of where do we go from here. Martin Luther King mentioning that the problem wasn't our plan. It wasn't what we were doing. The problem was that we didn't have enough bodies on the ground. We didn't have enough boots, right? I think that it's important to note that for all of the successes that some of us see that we derive from the civil rights era, think about how much more successful we could have been had we had more of us, more foundational Black Americans, ADOS, stepping up to the plate, getting up into the fight and doing the work. Just a sidebar. But so by the way, Frida Green's in the house. Alma, Sister Alma, peace to you. Happy Hump Day and welcome to the broadcast. So we get into the 60s, okay? And mass Black advocacy forced the government into the Civil Rights Act of 1964, right? We started off coming at John F. Kennedy and his administration. But of course, on that fateful day in Dallas, right, when he took one and Lyndon Baines stepped up into the office, we came at him. And we were subsequently able to get the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed into legislation, signed into law, right? Followed very quickly by the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which didn't address some of the fuckery that we still experienced in the voting sphere, such as poll taxes, literacy tests, and things like that, right? The Voting Rights Act of 1965 addressed those. Now, as I stated, this was a step forward for us. Sure, it wasn't the penultimate, right? It wasn't actually getting our justice claim honored. We still hadn't been made whole for over 350 years of economic disenfranchisement, of theft of resources, intellectual property, and so on and so forth. But it was a step toward that goal. We take one step forward. White supremacy takes as many steps backwards as needed to push us back. So what was the first piece, the first part of the backlash? Right? Because one thing I've noticed when it comes to white supremacist backlash, fam, is it's bookended. Right? You can see clear periods throughout our history here as ADOS where you see the heralding of the backlash, the initiation of it, and the culmination of the backlash. What would you say? By the way, shout out to my brother Travis, esteemed brother Travis, aka Black Dollars University. I see you, fam. Happy Hump Day and welcome to the broadcast. Fam, the first backlash to the renewed effort of making whole the American descendants of slavery came in the form of Title IX, right? For those of you who understand the history of feminism in this country, you know, just as those of us who watch, your man, the Angry Black Sheep, know, that feminism has always sought to tie its star, to hitch its star, if you will, to the advancement of ADOS. In other words, feminism, like a tick, like a parasite, has consistently sought to latch on to the movements that ADOS make. So as we go, feminism goes, right? Which, if you look at our acculturative process as a gynocracy, actually made a lot of sense for the feminists to do, right? If you can get ADOS women on board your agenda, you pretty much have the whole people on board your agenda. Wouldn't you agree? Right? So the very first thing after the Civil Rights Act of 1964 forbade race, color, creed, and all this stuff as a means of discriminating against American citizens, they immediately began to lobby to add sex to the protected class status that was given to us under the Civil Rights Act of 1964, right? When you look at you look at the process that brought about Title IX, you see that even as early as 1967, right, they were able to influence LBJ into signing an executive order, right? And this executive order forbade federal discrimination based on sex for federal contracts, right? So with this in mind, the very first, right, the knife's edge, right, the spear's tip of the white backlash against the renewed efforts of ADOS to get justice from America came from the very avenue you would expect it to, the feminists. But that really isn't new, now is it? Right? Because we saw the same thing occur when black males were given the franchise via the 15th Amendment of the Constitution, right? So after the emancipation of our people at the end of chattel slavery, and the 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendments to the Constitution were passed, just like they did in the 60s, the early feminists, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, right, immediately tried to hitch their wagon to the ADOS star. They said, why would you give the black man the franchise who's not practiced in it? He's not cultured. He doesn't understand how this thing works. But we as the white woman do. Why would you give him the franchise before us? Right? So this isn't new. The feminists have always understood that we blazed the trail for their aggrandizement. They use all of our narratives, all of our history to support the assertions that females or women need X, Y, and Z, right? Without them having ever shared in our history. So, subsequent to the executive order in 1967, right? In 1972, Title IX was passed. And Title IX was legislation that basically made sex a protected class, right? So already you can start to see the agglutination, if you will, the addition of other groups onto what was meant for justice for ADOS. Another aspect of the murder, or the attempted murder, if you will, of what was to constitute our justice claim. By the way, Thomas B's in the house. Peace to you, fam. Happy Hump Day. And Unsunken One, peace to you. Welcome to the broadcast. Pretty Muslima said the first group of feminists argued that they should come before the black man, not the same as later latching on as a so-called minority group. They only were able to argue that because of the empowerment of black males due to the legislation and the amendments to the Constitution that passed. They were hangers-on then, and they're hangers-on now. There's essentially no difference. They wouldn't even have felt the need to make the argument if it were not for the fact of the black man being empowered through legislation. Son of a Panther's in the house. Long time no see, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. So what else, fam, did we see that began to be a part of the pushback, a part of the backlash? Well, there was another thing that happened in 1965. There was an act passed called the Hart-Celler Act, also called the Increased Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. Essentially, what this act did was it opened up the doors for more immigration to the United States of America, right? Now, before this, immigration was extremely restricted, You had that period of time in the late 1800s to early 1900s where a lot of immigrants came through, primarily from European countries. They were given land, they were given resources. They made their entree into whiteness, like the Irish, the Poles, the Germans, and so on and so forth. But since that time, immigration had kind of dampened down. But the Hart-Celler Act introduced new quotas that allowed for increased immigration into the United States. Now, they were hoping, of course, with the passing of the Hart-Celler Act, that more whites from other European countries would immigrate to America, and there was quite a few that did. However, what they didn't account for was that the law, by the way, thank you, Ms. Denny, for the super chat. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much for the support. What they didn't count on was that because the law, since the Civil Rights Act of 1964, because the law could not discriminate against new immigrants based on like race and stuff like that, color, class, creed, so on and so forth, it opened the door for increased immigration from Asian nations, African nations, and so on and so forth, right? So you see that at the same time that they're extending, finally honoring the rights that we fought hard for, the rights that our ancestors bled for, that were enshrined in the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendments to the Constitution, when the government finally agreed to enforce the law, they went right back behind our back and they started creating the very circumstances that would allow them to be able to dilute the effects of their enforcement. They were well aware, fam, that we as ADOS used unskilled labor jobs, low-wage jobs as our traditional entree into skills and to be able to kind of move up the chain a little bit. Now, we were hampered by a great deal during Jim Crow. But with the removal of Jim Crow, with the work ethic that ADOS have, because who works harder than anybody who will work for free, right? We would have been able to start to make moves financially to move up the socioeconomic chain, right? So what would be the quickest way to ensure that we're not able to do that? Well, it's simple. Have us compete with another class of Americans for those same damn jobs and give preference to those other class of Americans. I mean, the answer, fam, is so simple. It's staring us right in the face. We saw during the Vietnam War an increase of immigrants from Cambodia, from Vietnam, from Laos, right? We saw after Nixon's rapprochement with China, right? We saw more Chinese immigration. We saw as the African nations started to be decolonized, if you want to say that, because I think to a great extent they're still colonized. But as they gained their independence, as the people's faces that were oppressing the everyday African went from white to black, right? You saw increased immigration from Africa. We, of course, know about special immigration situations such as the Marielitos from Cuba under Castro and so on and so forth. So this increased population came here and started competing with ADOS for the same resources. Except these individuals, because they didn't have the burden of the history of ADOS with your average American, even though the law stated that they couldn't discriminate against us based on various things, it didn't prevent them from doing it personally, from feeling more comfortable with these immigrant groups, from starting to elevate certain ones of them to pet status, to model minority status. So initially, the thin end of the wedge was the feminists. But what spread the breach even more apart for us was the increased immigration. Don't worry, fam, we're going to get to intersectionality, because intersectionality, fam, is the culmination, right? We also saw the growth of white flight, gentrification, all these things we've talked about before, right? Even as late as 1986, under the Reagan era, right? The Immigration Reform and Control Act, or IRCA of 1986, still allowed for more immigrants to come into the country. Most of the black folk who are non-ADOS that are in this country came after 1980. That's a fact. That is a fact. Prior to the Civil Rights era, black immigrants to America was not even a percentage point. Now, the last and final piece that I want to discuss is this concept of intersectionality. But before I go there, you have to understand that affirmative action, which was essentially implied in the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Affirmative action was meant to basically uplift ADOS to the position that we're supposed to be. That's what it's for. All of the government documentation, all of the legal analysis that you see from that time era suggests that it was never meant for everyone else. However, because we didn't have specificity, which is why that we as ADOS are claiming the name. We are demanding for the first time in the history of the United States, we are demanding to be recognized as a specific and unique group with its own particular lineage, its own particular heritage. This is super important because for every step forward we've taken, the lack of specificity have allowed them to be able to have lampreys latch on. These parasitic elements of American society to latch on to our justice claim, to blunt it, to dilute it. This is why in the 80s, you could hear such inanities as triple minority. I kid you not, fam. I'm an Xer. So some of you who are of the younger generations may not be familiar with the term, but there was delineations between minority status when I was a young man, right? I'm a double minority because I tick off this box and tick off that box. A black gay woman was the trifecta. She had it all on lock. Because she was a triple minority. This was how our justice claim had gotten blunted, had gotten diluted so badly that all you had to do was just find some way to claim a minority status, and you instantaneously, regardless of your history, regardless of your lineage, regardless of where you came from, were able to take advantage of what our people have fought, bled, and died for. And it was all aided and abetted by America at large. As part of the backlash, as part of the pushback against the limited gains we were able to make in the civil rights era of the 1960s. So now that I've kind of framed for you what fetishization of minority status began to look like by the 1980s, we now come to the capstone, right? The other end of the bookshelf, the bookend, right? Intersectionality was a term that was coined by Kimberly Williams Crenshaw in a scholarly work that she did and published in 1989. Now, pause. Who is Kimberly Adams Crenshaw? She is a black feminist and basically gender studies scholar. Okay? So her whole milieu wasn't oriented towards ADOSness. It was oriented towards her femaleness, her womanness, right from the get. That was issue number one. According to her teachings on intersectionality, it describes a process where social stratification and oppression isn't just laid out along, say, black and white, right? But that you could be white but bear another type of social stratification and thus be oppressed, right? So white women may not have been minorities, so to speak, even though they've been the ones that have benefited the most from affirmative action programs, given protected status via their sex, right? But because of their sex, they were just as oppressed as anybody else. So if you were wondering where we went from the idea that Becky is hand in hand with Brad in our oppression to looking at her as like she's a fellow traveler, you have ideas in the academy like intersectionality theory to thank for it. Because now Becky isn't just a protected class minority under Title IX, taking advantage like a tick, like a leech of our rights, of what was supposed to be our due. But she's also an oppressed individual, a victim, because she's a woman. Exactly, son of a panther. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how when it comes time for justice, everybody wants to be black? Peace, by the way, Brother Chad. Welcome to the broadcast, family. Happy Hump Day to you. I see you. When it comes to getting the bag, nobody has a problem with identifying with blackness. You don't believe me? I was on Twitter earlier today, and somebody was talking about how Caribbean brothers and sisters have always supported black struggle in America and so on and so forth, and named off a list of a bunch of different celebrities that hail from other parts, such as Notorious B.I.G., Slick Rick, so on and so forth. And what was ironic to me, what was absolutely ironic to me, was that all of these people they named off had two things in common. Two. Number one, they were here getting the bag. There was no doubt that Slick Rick made bread, that Biggie made bread, that other entertainment stars like Idris Elba, like Lupita Nyong'o, Daniel Kaluuya, right? You know what I'm saying? These are just today's people, right? You had Sidney Poitier, who was an immigrant, who we put on and made big because we loved the man, we loved his work, right? But each of these individuals were prospering, were getting the bag here in the United States. And the second thing they had in common is you can't say that a single one of them ever did anything to forward or further the struggle of ADOS in the United States of America. Not a one. Not a one. There was not a single one of these entertainment stars, one of these rappers, one of these, in my black American ghetto voice, I got you, baby. I'm going to make it do what it do. I got to do what I got to do, though. Right? They put us on like a cloak, like an affectation, because they get the bag. Everybody wants to be black when there's money involved, when there's an opportunity to get the bag, when there's an entree to be able to get paid. Everybody's talking about Cynthia Erivo and doing Harriet Tubman. She ain't got no problem with being considered a black woman because she's getting paid to act as one in a movie. But by the way, did you hear Did you hear Cynthia Erivo speak up about Focus Pictures alliance with Comcast and how Comcast is right now attacking our civil rights? Have you heard Cynthia Erivo or Casey Lemons, who I just found out Casey Lemons is actually of South American extraction? We always thought she was ADOS. We knew she's a black woman, right? Because remember, when it comes to getting the bag, everybody wants to be black. But when it comes to facing this motherfucking history, when it comes to facing this oppression, when it comes to being put in the crucible, everybody wants to hide. Everybody wants the fruits of ADOS labor, the fruits of ADOS intellectual property, the fruits of ADOS creativity, but nobody wants to give us our portion of the pie. Nobody. Nobody. I don't give a damn what immigrant group they come from, whether they white, black, Asian, it don't matter. Nobody who comes here signs on to be black with us 100%. They'll be black as long as they're getting the bag, as long as they're getting paid. Cynthia Erivo plays one of our biggest and brightest luminaries, does an interview with Oprah's snake ass, and gives homage to Barbara Streisand. Ain't that a bitch? But you see, fam, ideas like intersectionality is what created this space for all these people to have a place to stand. Because when it came to America, before all of this bullshit, there was only two people that you had to deal with here. It was white folks and black folks. Latinos wasn't even a factor. Hispanics wasn't a factor. Black immigrants wasn't a factor. Asians were made fun of, truth be told. Fam, let's keep it a full buck. Asians were made fun of by both white folks and black folks. We done all told our ching chong jokes and kung fu jokes and English. We done all done that shit, whether you white or black. So Asians wasn't even a factor. There was two groups that you had to deal with if you wanted to deal with anything in America. That was white folks, black folks. But then as soon as we start making strides to hold America accountable for the ongoing injustices that we have been subjected to by law and by custom, oh, now everybody wants to be black. Everybody gets to come here and be black. Hell, you go to like LA back in the 80s, you had Koreans selling us little bootleg Nike hats and shit in their store with their hat kicked to the side talking about, what's up, my nigga? Everybody wanted to be black when it came time to get the bag. Everybody wants to be a minority because they know that that status was supposed to have been for you. So they can latch on like leeches, like ticks, onto your justice claim. And sure enough, here comes one of our own, a black woman, to put the goddamn capstone, to put the culmination of the fuckery into play. So now, as ADOS, you're not even having to compete with just other ethnic groups and shit like that. You can have a gay white man that is considered more of a deserving minority than you. Because he's oppressed for being gay, and he's oppressed for, being this and being that. I know what it's like to be ADOS. I'm a woman. Huh? People going around talking about gay is the new black. What? Explain to me how the fuck are we going to have a new black when we haven't even addressed justice for the old black yet? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. How are we going to have a new black of anything. Like that show, the prison show, Orange is the New Black, talking about prisoners is being treated like black folk. How we gonna have a new black anything when we haven't done justice for old black? When we haven't eliminated old black as some group that needs to be protected from the ravages of its own nation? I'm just keeping it a buck, fam. These are questions that we need to ask. But Kimberly Crenshaw basically gave academic empowerment to this idea that pretty much anybody can be considered oppressed, that pretty much anybody can be considered oppressed and thus a victim and thus deserving of reparations. This is how you get gay people being able to advocate for marriage equality and then get a tax rebate on top of that legislated for them because they didn't get to file taxes before they was able to get married. This is how you get that type of shit. This is how you get people being able to claim to be a woman today and go and share the bathroom with your sisters and your daughters and your mothers and your aunts. This is how you get that. You get that because, hey, as a transgender, I'm oppressed too. I'm a victim too. I deserve reparations too. This is how you get people like AOC being able to claim that Puerto Ricans and Latinos and everybody else deserve reparations under your justice claim. Because guess what? Thanks to the magic fairy dust of intersectionality, anybody who shares any of these intersectional lines of oppression can claim to be a victim and thus entitled to reparations. This shit is crazy. It's absolutely goofy. We as ADOS have one responsibility at this particular point if we are going to be successful in our justice claim. Just one. We need to burn intersectionality at the stake. It needs to die. I don't give a fuck about the feelings that you might feel of oppression because you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, whatever the fuck. I don't care. I don't care if you think that as a woman, we should pay you more money. I don't care. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I can't afford to care. You're wanting to square up with this little group over here and this little oppressed group over here and trigger warning us to death and fight for your right to not be offended puts my justice claim, my 400-year justice claim in the back seat. I'll be damned. Sorry, but in this particular matter, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. We can't afford intersectionality. We can't afford for our justice claim to be so diluted by so many other people claiming to be victimized by the United States government that we can't make any fucking headway. All you have is people steadily trying to run out in front. Oh, wait, I'm more oppressed. Oh, no, wait, it's me. I'm more oppressed. Oh, no, I'm more oppressed. No, the government needs to pay me. I'm more oppressed. And meanwhile, everybody's fucking backburnering you. ADOS, Foundational Black Americans, everybody's backburnering you. Every single group out there. If you notice, LGBTQIAT plus LMNOP, they're not advocating as hard for ADOS as some of our ADOS brothers and sisters who are LGBTQIA is advocating and caping for them. To you black feminists out there, you're putting your gender identity before your racial identity, before your tribal affiliation. And meanwhile, you're watching your tribes people die. But hey, you're a woman, right? That's more important than being ADOS? Come on, man. It's all a fucking con. All of you who embrace intersectionality are literally traitors to us. Literally. You are literally betraying us. Not because you don't have the right to live your life. I've often said there's as myriads of ways of doing ADOS as there is ADOS people. Do you, ADOS fam? The only thing I demand from you is that you do ADOS with me. You do lineage with me. You do heritage with me. You do politics with me. You do economics with me. You do changing the legal system and legislation with me. Exactly, August. You had this dude, Mindy Kaling's brother. He's a damn Indian, an East Indian, dot, not feather, right? Who got into damn medical school by claiming he was black. But if you let the Asians tell it, as the beautiful model minorities they are, they should just get preferential treatment to all the slots, to the Ivies, to the best PWIs out there. Hell, I'm surprised that the motherfucking Asians ain't trying to beat down the door of the HBCUs yet. But now that they've been able to come here and take advantage of what we fought, bled, and died for, they want to shut the door behind us. They want to end affirmative action. Oh, they got their bag. So damn them. No, fam. Intersectionality amongst ADOS has to die. I don't care how you do your life. But as long as you share my lineage and my heritage, damn it, your life and my life can't become before the needs and the life of our people, of our tribe. We've tried that shit for 400 years. We've tried individually trying to get the bag. And meanwhile, like Black Magic said, then we got little Indian girls pissing on our own babies. There was an Indian man who was harassed by the police. And he was slammed to the ground and paralyzed because of it. Do you know that the United States had to apologize to the nation of India for the treatment of their countrymen? You goddamn right. The United States of America had to apologize to India for the ill treatment of their Indian, brother, their Indian, relative or citizen or whatever the case may be. Had to apologize. And the man got paid. You got paid because after the shit went viral, you didn't hear nothing else about it. That's how you know he got paid. Golden Jaguars in the house. Peace, fam. It's good to see you. By the way, let me shout out Black Magic. Brother Pat Asar, I see you. Golden Jaguars in the house and Caramel Sweetness. Welcome to the broadcast. A happy Hump Day to you all. Fam, like America started based off of lineage, right? Because you and I inherited our status as the descendants of slaves through our mother, right? Through lineage. Just like America started based on lineage, if we are ever going to see justice in America, it is going to have to be about lineage. No ifs, no ands, no buts. We don't have time for you and your little fucking pet projects organized around your genitalia or how you use your genitalia or where you stand on the social economic ladder or how you feel about gender. We don't have time for any of that shit. Your intersectionality, embrace of it, is the death nail to your people. It is the nail in the coffin. It's as simple as that. I don't give a fuck if you like it. I'm the angry black sheep. I'm going to say, by the way, Pat, I apologize, sister. Thank you for the correction. I don't care if it offends you. I do not care anymore. As ADOS, fam, we don't have the time. We don't have the time to issue bullshit trigger warnings. We don't have time to be worried about the oppression Olympics. Damn their oppression Olympics. Ain't none of them can hold a candle to what we had to face. There ain't no new black. There is just black. And that means ADOS. That means foundational black American. If you ain't that, then all your issues, all your shit that you feel so strongly about goes to the back. We ain't back burner for nobody no more. Nobody. I don't give a damn where you come from. I don't give a damn how much melanin you bear. I don't care if you got a vagina or a penis. I don't give a damn who you like to stick that vagina or penis on or with or whatever. No one is forcing me and my tribe to take a back seat to anybody in this country any goddamn more. That's it. That's done. It's a new day, fam. ADOS has come to cut away all the bullshit, to take away all the filler, to put it all to the side, and to point us in the direction of our heritage and our lineage. And I'll be damned if I let us get tripped up because of what sounds good come from the academy. Because, Kimberly Crenshaw in the scholarly work, was able to, here's the crazy part. If you actually read her work, and I recommend, I'll put her name in the chat, fam. Her name is spelled Kimberly with an E, Williams Crenshaw. Look up her work. Peace, Quentin. Welcome to the broadcast. Dallas said, how do you approach the situation when someone tells you that immigrants do not stand in the way of our justice claim? Present them with the evidence. We just recently saw from the Center for Immigration Studies, they had a whole panel where they got the data from the government itself that shows clearly that even legal immigration, not just illegal. See, they want to get us wrapped up on this illegal immigration shit, right? So that way, if we say anything about illegal immigration, we come off like monsters, right? But in point of fact, the data shows that even legalized immigration disproportionately affects the financial opportunities and outcomes for ADOS because we end up having to compete in a larger pool of labor for a shrinking pool of jobs. That is the data. That data doesn't give a fuck about what you think about it. It doesn't care how you feel. That is the facts. Even legal immigration at this point is slitting the throats of ADOS. If you were truly consistent with your position in advocating for ADOS, at this point, we need to be supporting any politician that is calling for a moratorium to immigration, period. Not because we hate foreigners. We're not xenophobes. But how in the hell are we supposed to prosper in the land that we help build if you keep giving our resources to any Tom, Dick, and Hank that comes from anywhere else? This just doesn't even make sense. Somebody today said that they were through trying to be nice, that it is time to separate the wheat from the tares. I absolutely agree. Fam, we got to get over this need for acceptance of our position as ADOS. We need to get over this need for people to just acknowledge ADOS. Let me explain. Fam, there is nothing wrong with talking to your friends and family and reminding them of our unique history, our unique place in this country. And not only reminding them of it, but encouraging them to honor it, to claim the name. There is nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all, fam. Right? But do you truly need white folks to acknowledge your heritage and lineage? Do you truly need that in order for you to do the needful? The only people that will ultimately need to recognize us as a distinct and unique class is the government itself that we're pressing our justice claim home toward. Ultimately, they will have to delineate us clearly, right? We will come up with a standard. I think Dr. Arity's standard is perfect. And then we will know who the class that is ADOS is, right? But do we need any other American to care about our heritage and lineage? More importantly, how can we expect the rest of America to care over much about us being foundational Black Americans, ADOS, if we still have ADOS people who won't embrace the name? Right? We have to stop worrying about being offensive. We got to stop catering to these weak-willed, jelly-backed, spineless, gutless, heartless, pussy-ass liberals who demand the right to not be offended. Nobody's ever gave a damn about our right to be offended or not. You can get fined in New York for talking ill about somebody's immigration status, but you can run up and down any borough in New York and yell nigga, 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 nigga till the cows come home and nothing will happen to you. Ain't that a bitch? If we were talking about justice, just uttering that word should be a fine unless you us. Now, I don't mind using the word, right? But I know there's some of us who don't feel comfortable with the use of the term nigga, and I respect it. You dig? I don't tend to call us that during broadcasts. But if we chopping it up and you don't mind and I don't mind, we drop it in, it's all right. But anybody else other than us that drop it, there needs to be a 5-year prison sentence and a $250,000 goddamn dollar fine like everybody else. ADOS, we not only need the pack, which more details about the pack will be forthcoming, so don't start bombarding me about it. It's coming, right? We not only need our own ADOS pack, but we need the equivalent of an ADOS ADL, an anti-defamation league. Anytime anybody in media, in news, in print, word, visual, audio, anybody maligns the character of our tribe, who shits on our lineage, who uses disrespectful and denigrative terms about us, need to not only just get our opprobrium, but they need to be sued. We need to be smashing their ass in court. Hit them in the pockets like the Jews did. You can't say shit about a Jew without the ADL coming down on you like a ton of bricks. We need the same damn thing. You shouldn't be able to say nothing. If you're not us, if you're not ADOS, you shouldn't even be able to have our name in your mouth without fear and trembling. Just like you can't say nothing against gay people. You can't say nothing against lesbian people. You can't say nothing against transgender. You can't say nothing against somebody with mental handicaps. You can't say nothing against handicapped people at all. You can't say nothing against humpbacks. You can't say nothing against midgets. You can't say nothing against all these other motherfucking groups, but they can all talk ill about you. Shit on the character, the heritage, and the lineage that is you all day long with no problem. No, family, no, 1,000 times no. We as ADOS need to be bringing the heat to that ass every single time. We don't care if it's CNN. We don't care if it's MSNBC or Fox News. We don't care if it's Focus Pictures. We don't care if it's Comcast. We don't care if it's Time Warner. We don't give a fuck who it is. We don't care if it's Lionsgate or 21st Century Fox. If you have our name in your mouth and it's not coming out with nothing but the absolute utmost of respect, decency, and reverence, you're going to see us. You're going to see us. And we coming for everything about you. We coming for your name. We're coming for your pockets. We're coming for your resources. We're coming for everything about you. Nobody comes It's like AL said, ain't nobody gonna go to China and openly disrespect. Go over there to China. I dare you. Go to China right now. You don't even have to go to mainland China. You don't have to go to Shanghai or Guangzhou or Beijing or Nanjing. You don't have to go to anywhere on the mainland. Go your ass to motherfucking Hong Kong and say something ill about Xi Jinping and see what happens to your ass. Go over there, and you don't even have to talk about Xi Jinping, the current premier, the current ruler of the Communist Party, Chinese Communist Party. You don't have to say nothing ill about him. Say something about a former. Let's go over there and say something about Deng Xiaoping, or say something about Mao Zedong, and see what happens to your ass. You will disappear off the streets and wake up in a motherfucking gulag somewhere, being tortured with electric prods on your balls. I'm not advocating for violence, fam, but I am saying that we need more than truth, reconciliation, apologies, hugs, and forgiveness. Whenever our opponents open their mouths and they speak about us, the same fear and trembling that we've had to feel speaking about everybody else for the last 400 years is what they need to feel when they speak about us. Intersectionality, fam, is done. I don't give a damn about your oppression. I don't give a damn that somebody looked at you wearing a dress and you felt some kind of way because you're a girl on the inside, but you're a boy on the... I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't care that you're an immigrant who don't speak the language proper, so somebody called you a funny ass name and now you feel oppressed and feel victimized. I don't care. If you don't like that, take your ass back to where the hell you came from. Nobody asked you to come here and put up with that. I wouldn't stay here and put up with that, especially if I had a homeland I could return to. I don't care if you think that bearing a vagina means that you're more oppressed than everybody else. I don't give a damn. As a black man, I don't exist in a patriarchy anyway. I ain't never lived under a patriarchy. The women of my household rule everything. And the women of every other brother's household have ruled everything. And you got the nerve to tell me because I got a twig and berries that somehow or another I'm oppressing you? Bitch, fuck you. We're done, fam. We're done. Intersectionality was the capstone, right? It was the bookend. On the final pushback, now all of the gains that we made, that we stood out there and marched in Selma and all these other places, all of the gains we made, fam, was wiped out. And crazy enough, it started with the feminists and now it ends with the feminists. The pushback is complete. And I find it just absolutely crazy, ironic that it started with white feminists and ended with a black one. Because nobody can stab you in the back better than other ADOS. Or other black people, I should say. Right? Because we took some L's during Shrub's presidency and Reagan's presidency and so on and so forth. But to really, truly do a number on us, they had to bring Barack Obama in. To really run roughshod over ADOS folk, to eliminate what little wealth we were able to gain through housing and stuff like that, to eliminate job opportunities and all of that, to reduce the amount of business capital and things like that that were available to us, to make it more difficult for us to vote than ever we've seen since before the civil rights movement. It took a black face to do that. No, he's not ADOS. And that is the worst of it. We got played. We got sold hope and change by somebody who's not even a member of our lineage. They played. I'm with you, Chad. They played their whole card a little too quick, though. Because we twigged. We not only saw what didn't happen under his administration, but we see what we're facing in 2053 if we don't stand up and act. Oh, y'all done fucked up and told us the wrong information. We already know white supremacy can't keep a secret. They're like the villain that's standing over you, and before they shoot you in the head, tell you the whole damn scheme. And this is exactly how I did it. Ha ha ha! They're a bunch of idiots. White supremacy is like a sieve. It ain't no secrets in white supremacy. All we have to do is just pay a damn attention. We are done with the oppression Olympics. We are done with everybody else's identity politics. The only identity that matters to me is mine. ADOS, FBA, right? DACS, BADASS. I don't give a damn what acronym you decide to use. If you're talking about this heritage and this lineage, that's the only lineage and that's the only identity I give a damn about. Moving forward, period. Until justice is done for us, until we get our due, I don't give a fuck what you think oppressed you. And if that offends you, if you're upset by that, if you're feeling some kind of way upon watching this video, by the way, fam, please hit the super chat. You know, after what I've said today, YouTube is not going to monetize this one. If you're feeling some kind of way, I only have one thing to say to you. Good. It's about fucking time. The floor is yours, fam. 425-296-1980. You know what it is. First come, first serve, right? Fam, I'm not telling you no lies here. Intersectionality played us all. It allowed America to sit here and with a straight face use terms like diversity, excluding you and including everybody else. Just so long as they sign on with the experiment that is white supremacy, they're good. Look at all this diversity we got. We got one African, we got a Latino, we got 3 Asians because we really like them. There's no racism here. Where's the ADOS folk? Well, they're not really qualified and blah, blah, blah. But wait. We're hiring a gay ADOS person next week. And he hates cisgender people. What the fuck, man? No. 1,000 times no. I don't give a damn what your identity is. I don't care how you doing your life as ADOS. If you're not doing ADOSness with me, you are a fail. You're fucking up. You're a traitor. Your other identities cannot come before your heritage and lineage. Our ancestors didn't fight, cry, bleed, suffer, be stolen from, abused, denigrated, defrauded, raped, murdered, for you to come here and be like, oh, we post-racial, so I don't have to give a fuck about that black shit. Now I can be focused on my genitalia. Now I can be focused on, I can be focused on boobies. I feel like a boy today or a girl today, I'm going to go do that instead of ADOS. No. Not on my watch. Calling from 413, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
You know me. This is Double C. From
Double C in the house. What's good, fam? Holla at your man.
You know what? Me and my fiance was talking about, the whole tea people thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, remember back in the day? I said, a lot of y'all women were complicit in that. Y'all thought it was cute when they were coming around and acting like women and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now they've taken over to replace you.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And what was it? Now they got to the point where they're like, well, we shouldn't have to tell if we're transgender or not. And I'm like, well, and my fiance made a very great point. She says, you not telling a person that what you are, you're taking is basically rape. Because you just took the option off the table.
Absolutely. But it's going to be legal. You understand, fam, with the slippery slope we on now, pretty soon it's going to be legal for them to rape you because it's going to be illegal for you to refuse to consent to engage with them if they decide to identify as X, Y, and Z. If today they want to be a goddamn My Little Pony and tomorrow they want to be a fish, if you got anything to say about it, tough luck.
But at the same time, when I say something about being ADOS, And yes, reparations just due is not being lazy. Well, that's a problem. But everybody wants to be black until there's money on the table or the police show up.
Yep. That's a fact. That's a fact, fam. Everybody, when you can capitalize on being a minority or being a protected member of the protected class, everybody's down.
See, and that's how affirmative action got co-opted. All you gotta say to the woman is, you're a minority, even though you're white and part of the majority.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself is an oxymoron. That's just my opinion.
I know, I feel you. I can count numbers like anybody else. How a white woman a minority if she's a member of the dominant majority ethnic group of the society? Make the shit make sense. I can count.
Then okay, I have a sister who's ADOS, so she's gay. So she was a triple minority, which I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. You know, all those little nuances, like, wait a minute, you know, I'm not playing, this ain't Struggle Cuddles Olympics. I'm not doing all this with you.
Yeah.
You know, this is back in the kid, you know, it's like when you're kids, right? My dad's better than your dad type argument.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But the problem is, the facts is there, but everybody want to have alternative facts and revisionist history.
Yep.
And I'm seeing it on YouTube right now. That's why they're suppressing certain content.
Yep.
And leaving others up. Like intersectionality. When that term come out?
Intersectionality.
I just heard about that term 2 years ago.
Yeah, intersectionality has actually been around since, like I told you, Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term in a paper she wrote and published in 1989. It's been around for a minute. But the thing is that remember back in the day, under the auspices of scientific racism, right? I'm not certain if you know or are familiar with the term. So if you need an explanation, brother, there's no shame in asking.
Well, yeah, I'll look it up later after this.
Okay, but essentially, under scientific racism, they used so-called science to foment and continue white supremacy, right? It isn't that we're being oppressive, right, to our fellow black citizens. No. They have low IQ, or they have a genetic propensity for criminality and laziness and so on and so forth, right? So we're having to institute these policies in order to protect them from themselves because science tells us X, Y, and Z about ADOS, right? Just like in that era, intersectionality gave the academic underpinning needed for all these other groups to claim the same level of oppression, the same level of victimization as ADOS, and thus latch themselves, like somebody said in the chat earlier, like ticks to our justice claim. This is how a bitch like AOC is able to say what she say with a straight face and not be ran the hell up out of the room.
True. And that's another thing we gotta get rid of. ADOS gotta get rid of. People of color rhetoric.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying that for the fact that this is what's going to happen. If let's say reparations do get approved, it will be for people of color. So you can say, hey, we treat our people of color good. Asians, Hispanics, gay. Alphabet people.
I'm damned. You know what? I'm damned if that happens. There's no way as an ADOS man I'm allowed that to go down.
No, I'm just saying this is what's this is what's coming. I could be wrong, but that's why they try to bump everybody in one thing. And I just had this conversation with my little brother today. I said, "There's no black and brown coalition."
Yep.
Because my older brother that lives out your way,
mm-hmm.
He tried to get a job, right? And basically, he had to go talk to the district manager because the hiring manager was hiring nothing but Mexicans. Now, this brother got 25 years experience on a forklift, so you should get paid, or at least a fighting chance to get the top dollar.
Facts.
And then, if you know anything about doing forklifts or anything else, then you should give you a test.
Yeah.
All right, they give you a test. He passed the test flawlessly. The other people making mistakes. he failed the test.
You know
And
what?
I know what he does because him and I used to do forklift together.
It's nepotism, man. And the thing is that, fam, this is the thing that I would love for us to get past. When ADOS get a position anywhere, we're too busy trying to dig in and keep that position for ourselves. You know what I mean? Rather than trying to bring in and see everybody else get put on, they'll suck it up, right? They'll suck up the shit jobs, the fucked up hours, and they'll move their way up to manager. And the next thing you know, this person gone and replaced with one of their people, and then this person gone and replaced with one of their people, and then this person gone and replaced with one of their people. That's how you can have entire fast food joints where you walk in there and nobody look like ADOS because they replaced you all. But we get in there and we too busy trying to hold the bag for ourselves instead of trying to make sure that we get as many, that we put it on lock, that you can't even think about being hired here unless you one of us.
Now you know Steve Harvey and Whoopi Goldberg are, right? And when Monique was going around talking about that she was suppressed because of she wanted to get paid equally.
Yep.
These two told her on their shows, forget everybody else, you get yours.
Yep.
And I thought about that because we do have a crabs in a barrel mentality.
I wouldn't necessarily call it crabs in a barrel because, see, I don't like that euphemism for one reason only. People say that who don't understand the behavior of crabs. It's not that crabs in a barrel want to see all of the other crabs stay in the barrel. It's just that they don't understand that when they're crawling over each other, they're reducing the opportunity for all of them to get out of the barrel. They're not smart enough to figure that out. You see what I'm saying? We are not crabs. We understand exactly what we're doing. We know that when we go in here into these various job opportunities, these various positions, we know that we are lucky, first of all, to even get in there, right? And second of all, don't forget about that soothing medicament, right? That soothing balm of white acceptance, right? When your coworkers are saying, you know, you're one of the best people we've ever worked with. It's such a pleasure to have you come in here and you're such a great hard worker. And they start petting you like the little pet you are under diversity, right? You forget all about the fact that you still got 15, 20, 30, 50, 100, 500 other brothers and sisters out there that need the same damn opportunities as you. We're not crabs. We should know better than crabs.
You know what? You're right. A lot of us have, if you ever watched the show or movie Highlander,
yeah,
there only could be one.
There can be only one, yep.
That's the mentality a lot of us have.
Black folks is obsessed with being the first of anything. Like we got hooked on that shit during the boomer generation when we saw all these boomers starting to make forays into the into the job world, into academia and stuff like that. Oh, he's the first black dean of this particular college, and he was the first black leader of the post office, and this, that, and the third. Yeah. We got hooked on this idea of being the first, but we fail to understand that first does not mean only. It means first. It means there should be other ADOS that come behind you. What good is it in us having another mother? Okay, so we got the first black senator since Reconstruction. Well, what good is that if this black senator isn't politically educating other black folk, other ADOS folk to get them into power? What good is he having? What's good is it having him there?
Then some of us would. All right, when I was in school, right, in high school, we all had to wait outside in the cold. We couldn't go inside the building. I always found a way to make it inside the building, but I wasn't just the only one. I let everybody that was outside waiting in the cold.
Yep.
So much so to the fact that at 7 o'clock in the morning, they would knock on the door because they knew I was in that building at 6:30. they would knock, and my principal would be like, "Well, you're not supposed to let nobody in. It is negative 10 degrees outside. You are smoking crack.
You damn you and damn that."
Yo, if I said, "Put me in detention if you want to," he said, "No, come on to the home room, make yourself some coffee." I understand. It's just you, CC. But the point is, a lot of us will open the door for other people because there's a coalition. We have this, oh, well, I'm going to set this up, well, let you in too. Forgetting about how you got there in the first place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we've seen that left and right.
Up here where I live, there's a lot of Asian folk, and Filipinos hang out with the few black folk that's up here. And they'll act just like us. They'll listen to our music, dance our dances, black dudes dating Filipino girls and vice versa and so on and so forth. They dropping M-bombs all over the place. They real free-hearted. But then when the Filipinos get in on, say, like the healthcare industry, like most of the nurses up here now are Filipino. Guess what? They're not hiring ADOS. They're not hiring black folk. I know, Golden Jaguar, you can attest to that. Man, it's a whole different atmosphere. I try to tell people, nobody believes me what it's like up here in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State. Nobody believes how strange it is up here, man. You actually will have black folk up here that will go in the paint for somebody of another ethnicity to shit on you.
I have cousins in Washington State, so I know.
It's a strange sort of ADOS up here, man. Real talk.
No, I know. It's I heard stories, but like I said before, man, the problem is I believe that we have this. There only could be one, and I think you're a fool. Personally, you think I'm the only nigga here. I think you're crazy if you're happy about that.
Yeah. I would be. I don't feel right being the only ADOS person anywhere. I'm just keeping it a buck. Like living up here in the Pacific Northwest, every time I get a job or I'm in some situation, the first thing I do is look for my people. I don't feel right being the only one in anything. Not as ADOS. No fucking way.
Well, Mark, you know where I live. I've said it ad nauseum to you. I feel weird if I like to see somebody like me. And where I work at, where I see ADOS people, they just like, oh crap, there's a brother actually working here? So yeah.
Yeah.
And they all talk to me, and they used to talk to me so much it used to piss off the case manager.
Yep, absolutely.
And other workers.
Yep. I don't care if it pisses them off. We got to stop caring, fam. We got to stop caring. Fuck them.
I used to live I was right down the street from my job. Sometimes I'll stop in. If you're cool enough, I'll stop and talk to that person. I'll speak to the case manager, the staff member. I'll talk to that person. And the first thing, what are they talking about? It got to the point, to the fact where I had to stop doing it because within a week, they'd be gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's a couple people that will have to stop me when I was talking to them. Hey, man, how you doing? Yada, yada, yada. Can you be my case manager? Like, whoa, man. I'm not here for all that, man. I'm just here to pick up my check. But I'll talk to you outside or something like that.
And that's a damn shame, fam. Because you should be able to interact with them.
Well, the thing was, I was able to interact with them, but it's the way they went about it. They didn't like the way they went about it because they were excited to see me. Like, I'm like, the kid, what you telling them? And I looked at her one time. I was like, I ain't telling them anything. Why?
Yeah, God forbid we should get some data or some information to help us get a come up or get off the streets or get off the drugs or, to get back on our feet. Yeah, God forbid that should be the case.
You know what? A lot of them guys we talk about credit, we'll talk about stocks, we'll talk about politics, we talk about, stuff like you are in, we'll talk about anything. Or what books that I read or they read, just a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was homeless in New Mexico, man, I had this brother, a friend of mine named William. Brother was a lawyer when he was in D.C., got caught up in some shit, got caught up in alcoholism, stuff like that, ended up on the streets. One of the most wisest brothers I ever had a chance to meet. You see what I'm saying? But I had to look for him. I had to go look for him. There was no way in hell that I was going to be in a situation like I was in and be stuck around a bunch of white folks or a bunch of Latinos, because I knew they was not going to care for me like my own.
You know what? You're right. Those guys were looking for me. So if I happen to stop, I work the weekends overnight. Weekends, you sleep all day, so you miss me. But by the time to stop in, just shoot the shit with my boss, whatever, or talk some business, and they're there, They stop me because they don't know when they're going to see me again.
Mm-hmm.
But, and here's something for you. A couple of staff members died. The ones that were blocking,
Yeah.
them. One died recently, and I'm like, wow. That's karma for your ass right there.
Yep.
And apparently, because he had a problem with certain people that would talk to me or another person, what he got that I don't got.
Yep.
And this is what kills me. Everybody else talks to you. The ones that talk to other staff members, they don't necessarily talk to me because they don't look like me.
See, here's the thing, man. If you notice, fam, and not to cut you off or steal your thunder or anything, but if you notice, fam, control over our information has been the goal of white supremacy from day one, which is why they forbade us to learn how to read and be literate, right? In the whole 9 yards, because they know that the combination of ADOS action and information is lethal to the system, to this experiment of white supremacy, fam. So what I want to leave you with today before you end up, off the call or whatever, is I want to leave you with this. Wherever you're able, your first thought always needs to be, how can I deliver the most information about this situation to as many of my tribe's people as possible? If you find out about a resource like a grant or something like that that can get people off the motherfucking streets, you need to be telling as many ADOS homeless folk as you can. Take them down there, Cease. I don't care if you have to wear a scarf over your face. It's getting cold in your area pretty soon anyway. So it ain't going to be nothing strange about you having a scarf over your face. If you have to walk up with a scarf on your face to block you from the cameras to protect your shit, get them there. Get them access to that. We need to be committing to everything that we can to be nepotistic. Look it up.
Not to cut you off.
Go ahead, fam.
I'm glad you said that. No, I'm glad you said that because I have to wear, a few of us will have it be like an underground werewolf of sorts, which is I'll meet you somewhere. And we know where to meet at. I know all the spots to meet at. And we go hop.
Hey, channel the spirit of Harriet. Harriet would have freed thousands of slaves had they known they were slaves. Your family is ignorant, fam. They don't know the trick bag that's been ran on us because of our lineage, because of what this country owes us. It's our responsibility as the ones who are out here getting the information. This is why it's so important for us to support Black media, not because we're trying to make Black media personalities rich or make them stars or anything like that. It's important because Black media is the only media you can count on that's going to bring you information that is in your best interest. For the most part, I ain't gonna say that's 100% true, but for the most part, supporting your Black media, especially fact-based, information-based Black media, is only to your benefit. You see what I'm saying? Cease, I'm gonna give you the last word, fam.
Thank you. Like I said, there's some things I'm working on, which I'll explain to you in the background. But all I gotta say is this, man. If you're gonna be with ADOS, there's some things you gotta get out your rhetoric. POC is one of them. Believe, hope, wish, feel.
That shit gotta go.
That's gotta go, and you gotta do the work. And I just, before you carry your broadcast, I just had this conversation with my little brother. And I even pointed them your way to watch you and a few other people because, as you said, a good chunk of you guys that is Black ADOS media will tell the truth.
Yeah.
And you're right. Everybody else does nepotism. Why can't we?
I agree. Why can't we? I would love nothing more than to walk into a business and all I see in there is ADOS. That would feel perfectly fine to me. And I don't give a damn how much tweaking of the resume or how many little digits you had to move on the electronic application to get your people in. I don't care what tricks you got to pull to do it. Nobody else do. You think every single nurse has all her certifications in place? But guess what? If the motherfucking HR representative of the hospital is Filipina and your head nurse is Filipina, they gonna nudge, wink, wink, and give her the time she need to get her shit together. We need to be doing the same damn thing.
Yes, sir.
We need the first to mean first again, not only.
All right, sir. Thank you for having me on, and I'll see you on the next broadcast.
Of course. Thank you, brother. Always a pleasure, man. Peace to you. Fam, I don't think I can say it anymore, man. Look, I don't have time to be concerned about trigger warnings. I don't have time to be concerned about none of that. Caller from 323, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Peace, brother Black. This Chad from LA.
Chad, peace, brothers. Good to hear from you, man. Good to hear from you. Talk to us, fam.
Absolutely. Always good. So, such an important show and such an important message, family. Intersectionality. We have to burn that down. We have to understand what this means for us, and that you touched on so many points. So I'm gonna try to be brief here. But
no, fam, the floor is yours. Take your time.
Absolutely. So we have to understand how basic these white supremacists are. Their plans never change. Their strategies never change.
Oh.
They've been doing the same thing to us for centuries. And so their primary weapons on keeping us oppressed, on keeping ADOS oppressed, and not just here in America, but globally, has been weaponizing gender and sex.
Absolutely.
Weaponizing gender and sex to the point that they use it against us. They confuse us about it. They turn it into a tool to not only break our bodies, but break our spirits and break our movements. And so what we have to understand is that this push for intersectionality, as you said, is not a new word. It's been a term that's been around. But even the strategy of weaponizing gender and sex goes back to the plantations, goes back to the Atlantic slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade. And so we have to see that this is not a new con game. This is something they've been doing for a long time. And each time they've done it, it served a different purpose. On the plantations, it was to take the men out, take the warrior class out. The immediate warrior class that's coming over still had fire in their hearts, still had fire in their bellies, and they knew they'd uprise. So they had to take gender and sex and weaponize it against them. Yep. That's what butt breaking is. That's what the castrations are. Yep. That's what the public humiliation. That's all the things that you know about from the atrocities of the slave plantations and that institution. That was the weaponization of gender and sex. Then, when we were coming out of the civil rights movement, we had all this fire behind us, and we were marching in the streets, and we were demanding civil rights. We were demanding that you were going to make us full citizens in this country. What came along? Feminism, the weaponization of gender.
Yep.
And so anything that we tried to get in, any legislation that we got passed at the federal level, at the state level, they then looked to inject gender and or sex into whatever that legislation was, because then it undermined what it was trying to, what the original intent of that legislation was.
Absolutely.
The Civil Rights Act, you put gender in it, it's gone. That's why you see white women benefiting from affirmative action in bigger numbers than ADOS. And I'll digress for a second. If anyone out there is ever feeling a soft spot for a white woman, I want you to go look up the Casual Killing Acts of Virginia and how they had to pass legislation in Virginia because white women were beating ADOS children to death in such high numbers that they had to pass laws so to make sure they didn't go to jail and there would be no consequences. So we have to understand that the depravity not only exists within the white man, but just equally, if not more so, with the white woman. So don't ever have a soft spot in your heart for any white woman anywhere.
Absolutely. Who do you think's minting? Who do you think mints white men, if not white women?
Exactly. So at the end of the day, this intersectionality movement that we're facing now with the cis and I don't even know all the terms because it's so goofy. I don't even like give it brain space, right?
Yep.
But we have to understand that this is the same strategy coming back at us, but this time they're trying to come back for end game. They're trying to come back and make gender go away.
Yep.
And push that on us. Right? So then they got us walking around all confused. And guess what happens when all our men are either incarcerated, dead, criminalized, or so confused about their sexuality, they don't know which side of the fence they are. Guess what happens then? That means our women and children are left open and vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Our communities are left open and vulnerable. So we have to understand, and ADOS, I also want to say this. Our greatest strength is our capacity for love. That's ADOS's greatest strength. That's why we feel the way we feel. That's why we greet each other the way we greet each other. That's why our culture is so rich. That's why we talk to each other the way we talk to each other, like nobody else on the face of this planet. Our greatest strength is our capacity for love, but it's also our greatest weakness.
Yes, sir.
Because we extend that love to people undeserving of it.
Absolutely.
Anyone that comes through, we come up, we got our arms open. We love you. We want to make you whole. We want to bring you into this so you can feel what we feel for each other. We extend that love to people that are undeserving all the time.
All the time.
And that's what's happening now. They are playing on our greatest strength, which is also our greatest weakness, to try to then destroy us from the inside.
Absolutely.
And we have to see that, and we have to turn that greatest strength and say, you know what? We're not going to love everybody else, but we're going to love ourselves even more. We're going to love each other even more. We're going to love ourselves first. We're going to put love of ourselves first.
That's right.
Before anything else. So I 100% agree with you. I love my gay brothers and sisters. I don't care what you do in your home. And God bless you. As long as you consenting adults and you love each other and there's respect there, I have no issue with it whatsoever. I only have issue when you put it ahead of your tribe. When you put it ahead of ADOS and you start saying, I'm going to identify with this white man because he feels the same way sexually as I do. No, you got to understand that white man don't love you. That white woman don't love you. ADOS loves you.
Yep.
Love ADOS back. And burn this intersectionality bullshit down. Burn it down because it's never served us. It has never served us. In any form, in any shape, it has never served the best interest of ADOS.
Facts.
And so we have to now take our greatest strength, which is the capacity to love, and we got to turn that inside, turn it on ourselves, and that's going to be the weapon that's going to blaze through all these remedial, simple white supremacists, all these systems, because it's all built on sand. It's a straw house. And if we just get our shit together, if we just start saying we're going to love each other and we're going to love each other first, and ain't nothing you can do. You can't shame me off this square. You can't say, why you being xenophobic? Why you being homophobic? You can't say none of that to me because it doesn't matter. Because I know I love myself and I know I love my tribe, and I don't care what you're talking about. Because the people in my tribe, guess what? They gay, they everything else, right? But they black first.
Facts.
They black first. They ADOS first.
Facts.
And so we start playing like that. We start playing their game like like everyone else plays it. It's game over, people.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying that. It's game over. Once we realize we on the same team and we start wearing the same jersey and identifying and high-fiving and slapping each other and say, yeah, ADOS.
All day. All day.
So, but, Brother Black.
Fam, I'm sorry. You got, because you got it, fam. You got it. I don't even know what to say. You got it, fam.
Yeah, because look, like I'm so blessed to have found you, because you give me an opportunity to call up, and we're like-minded, brother. Like we are all of the same tribe, and what we have to understand just as people is that these connections are ancient.
That's
and
right.
What we're doing is repairing. We're repairing ancient damage. And again, our capacity to love. Our capacity to love doesn't only extend in this time. It extends back. And it extends forward.
Yep.
I can love someone for 400 years ago The same way I love the kids in my house.
You damn right. I love the shit out of our ancestors,
the same way
man.
I love y'all in the chat. The same way I love Brother Black. The same way I love ADOS that I've never even met or talked to. Right? We got to understand how powerful that is.
Facts.
And we got to understand how to wield it and how to use it as the weapon that it is.
That's right.
Because they're weaponizing it against us. We letting somebody come in. It's like somebody came in your house, took a gun out your cabinet, and now holding it on you. No, we can't allow this to happen anymore. Burn intersectionality down, and don't let anybody make you feel bad about it. Don't let anybody make you feel ashamed about it. Don't let anybody make you feel like you should be loving us. You should be loving us. Just we all oppressed the same. No. If we oppress the same, get in line behind me, ally with ADOS. Make sure I get right, and then I got you.
Facts.
We're gonna tell everybody else like they've been telling us.
Yep.
Us first. We got you later.
Thank you. Facts. All right, fam.
All right, Brother Black. Hey, I'm gonna see you in the events chat later on.
Yes,
but
sir.
You know, I had to call up, give you a word real quick because you always get that fire going in me. So I appreciate you, fam.
We needed that, fam. Thank you so much, fam. I'll see you soon. Peace. Woo, fam. Brother Chad, ladies and gentlemen, a word from your brother. By the way, shout out to Jessica J. Shout out to Dr. Lely. And shout out to Canarian producer. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. Look, fam, this isn't rocket science, right? Our capacity to love as ADOS is our birthright. And no one has the right to use that against us as a weapon. Love starts at home. Right? You remember the Bible says charity starts at home. Charity is just another name for love. It's another word for love. Charis, love, right? Love starts at home. Love starts with your tribe, with your family, with your peoples. You see what I'm saying? I know who this is. Calling from 903. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
What's up, Mark Black? I'm calling from Texas.
What's good, brother? Talk to us, fam.
All right, I got three things. Yesterday, I went to go sign up to be on the NAACP, right? So I go to the website, and you know what it was. The whole thing you just got finished explaining, all that diversity. You have more white people on the page than you did ADOS.
Yep.
You had everything you went through was about women. There was nothing in there about ADOS, especially if ADOS men, nothing like that at all. And even their platform, this was in the Tyler, Texas chapter. Anybody can go look it up just as well as I did. Go NAACP Tyler, Texas chapter. And I was really confused and disappointed. There was nothing about Thurgood Marshall in there. There was nothing about Martin Luther King in there. There was nothing about our leaders in there.
Yep.
It was a bunch of white people on the page saying, hey, come join the NAACP. How are you supposed to just join the NAACP when they're not even your people?
Look, Rachel Dolezal was the leader of the chapter at NAACP up here in Spokane. Okay?
Wow.
It is what it is. See, this is why Project Takeover is such a damn strong and such a unique idea. Because no longer do these organizations get to speak and have our name out there, but for other people's interests, right? With Project Takeover, what we're saying is no, you're not going to be speaking and pretending you speak with our voice, but you're not representing our interests. You see what I'm saying?
There you go. Right. So then the second point I got to tell you, this would happen to my niece, right? Mm-hmm. My cousin works at the sheriff's department. And not she's a deputy sheriff or anything like that, but she works on the paperwork side, sending out warrants and all that kind of stuff. So there was an opening at the job, and she tried to get my cousin on at the job. And do you know her own auntie had the nerve to tell my cousin that don't get her that job, she's gonna mess your job up. She's gonna mess your job up. Don't you do that. Like, that's how far we are removed from nepotism at all. To even help our own.
That's what I'm stressing, man. I can't.
It's not like she was on drugs. She didn't get out of jail. She had just gotten out of high school, Mark.
Fam, I can tell you that's so common. My heart, first of all, man, my heart goes out to you that you even had to experience that. But unfortunately, that's so goddamn common with ADOS. It's painful.
It hurts, and that's what she tried to say. If I would have heard her say that, I would have cussed her out on point. And I told my aunt that. I told my aunt, because that was my aunt's sister, right?
Yep.
I said, if I would have ever heard her say that day, I would have cussed her out right there.
Yep.
Because I was wrong to not let her try to. She got to go to work somewhere. So what are you doing to her? Don't you do that? And say, I'm just so ignorant. And then, okay, and my last thing is, like I tell you, a lot of time I watch this free speech TV.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me so mad today because that Tom Hartman character said, he was talking about slaves and the slave ships and everything, right? And you know what he called them? People of color. You're not talking about people of color on slave ships. You got to be kidding me. He sit there and said, people of color come across on a slave ship.
Them soft racist bastards, man.
Oh, boy, my mouth dropped wide.
Them soft racist bastards. That's your progressives.
That's why you got to watch everybody. That's why you got to watch everybody from CNN to MSNBC
I watch
to
them
Mark
all.
Black to Free Speech. You got to watch them all. Fox News, you got to watch everything because all of them have their own little certain ways about how they talk about us in their ways. And when I watched I watched B1 last night, and he was talking about the Jew who sat there and was talking about reparations in that paper, and then he talked about that congressman about how he didn't want black kids to be able to achieve from their likeness. Only the white man couldn't really get your likeness or be profit from your likeness. Only the school can profit from your likeness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't you hear that they talking about trying to tax these college students if they get these big endorsements and big contracts and things like that? See, here's the thing. Notice that the Republicans, like, not all of them, but if you notice, there's a lot of hypocrisy. This is why we talked about this in a broadcast once. Remember when we talked about how everybody talked about, oh, well, they conservative, they racist, they conservative, right? Well, yeah, that might be true until their interest is threatened. They talk about small government and let the market decide this and the third.
Right.
But that only holds as long as they're the ones getting the bag.
Right.
As soon as anybody else, especially ADOS, might have a chance of getting a slice of the pie, all that small government shit goes away. Now they want legislation. Right. Now they want somebody to come in and police this thing. By the way, shout out to Sister Toolbox. You see what I'm saying? So, fam, that hypocrisy was so blatant. It was actually ridiculous, fam. It was absolutely ridiculous. Because it was like, you cannot be serious. Right?
No, that's what they're saying. It would be no different from the studio telling that little kid from back in the day, the Home Alone kid, right? That he couldn't make any money off the little toys that were made in his image. The studio says, hey, we're taking all that money. You can't get any of that money. But when little kids are actors, it's okay for them to make all them tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
But when a black kid comes out of the hood or a black kid has a chance to do something and knowing he might not go to the NFL, because I was telling somebody the other day, these kids who go to colleges, I wish they would get insurance on their bodies, their ACLs and all that.
Oh, but you know what though? Hold up, fam. Because that white motherfucker, that senator who was talking about, what's his name? Burr, Senator Burr, right? That was talking about introducing that legislation. Don't even know how stupid he is. And I'm going to run it down to you. So let's say that he introduces that legislation to treat as taxable income the money gained from endorsements for college athletes. Okay?
Right.
The only way that the IRS would be able to tax their income is if they were employees of the college and not students. Well, guess what? If these college athletes are now treated by the IRS as employees, what does that mean? That means that as employees of the college is going to be responsible for health care. The college is going to be responsible for benefits. The college is going to be responsible for leave, right? Because once you start calling them employees, there's a whole range of laws that start applying to colleges from then and there and then from then on out, right?
Right.
So you want to open up this Pandora's box talking about taxing these young athletes? I dare you. I dare you. Because next thing you know, our athletes will be organized in the motherfucking unions, led by ADOS, of course, and see how much money these colleges will be able to keep then. Don't play with us.
Well, my thing was, like, if I go somewhere as an athlete, especially a college athlete, right? And I sign a football for somebody at an event, right? He told me I had to do it for free, but he can go right around and go put it on the internet and sell it.
Yep.
That's stupid.
That don't make no
sense. It doesn't make any sense. It don't make no sense. Like Patrick Mahomes, he went to school over there in the White House. It was the same thing with him. Even though he was in high school, right? He couldn't even sign anything like that, and even try for it. Even if you were struggling as an athlete in high school. And I just can't. Well, if you're so much of a capitalist, right? What is wrong with me signing something for me being a good athlete? It'll be no different from the kids who went out there and made a fantastic robot, and Microsoft comes down.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. As a capitalist,
or whatever you do.
As a capitalist, whatever I do with my labor and whatever somebody willing to pay me for my labor, you should be G with, right? That's capitalism, right?
You would think.
Isn't it?
No.
You would think.
It just plays different for ADOS. It always has. It just plays so much different for us. But those are the things I want to point out tonight. And I'm grasping at straws, every day trying to learn more and trying to learn more and look at more and look at more. And like I say, you be putting that fat on your head, on the head. So that would really be.
Hey, I appreciate it, fam. I'm doing my job. If I got you thinking, I'm doing my job, fam. I appreciate hearing that from you. Thank you so much for that.
All right, then I'll holler at you later, man.
Of course, fam. Don't be a stranger. Peace. Hey, the brother's right. They be talking all this capitalist shit until it's time for us to get a chance to hold the bag. You see what I'm saying? Then the whole game changes up. Now they want legislation. Now they want somebody to come in and police the thing. You feel me? You got to understand how the game is played, fam. You got black people out here advocating for communism and advocating for capitalism and advocating for this and advocating for that. Understand me that at the end of the day, regardless of the economic system, regardless of the political system, as long as everybody gets to keep boot to ADOS neck, they don't care what system we live under. Right? You go to Europe, most of those economies over in Europe are socialist economies, right? But look at the percentage of black people that they have in their country. Norway has what? 2% black people. Now they get 3%. All of a sudden they want to start closing down their welfare scheme. They want to start, privatizing shit and so on and so forth, right? They okay with making sure it's socialism or communism as long as it's all them. But as soon as anybody else come in and say, oh, this thing is dope. I want to get in on this. Nope. Now they want to trim back the welfare state. Now they want to cut the shit off. Smells like a bunch of bullshit to me. Sure enough. Fam, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. I want to thank the callers that called in tonight. Great words, great calls. I want to thank everybody that showed up and took the time to lend me their hearts, their minds, their eyeballs, their ears, right? Fam, intersectionality ain't it. It ain't it, right? We don't do Crayola. We don't do intersectionality. We are single issue advocates. If it ain't about the tribe, then it be damned. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. I'm not advocating for no Green New Deals. I'm not advocating for LGBTQIAs, MOP rights. I'm not advocating for any of that shit. I don't care about your particular little oppressions. I don't care about none of that. If you're not willing to get behind me and mine and do this as we push forward to press home this justice claim, damn you and damn everything about you. Because the fact is, fam, is our love, that loving kindness that our brothers so beautifully, expounded upon, is our greatest strength, but it's also our greatest weakness. And the only difference, fam, the thing that makes that our greatest strength or our greatest weakness is its orientation. That's all it is, the direction. Are you as ADOS showing love to everybody else's shit? Are you so concerned about what's happening at Standing Rock? Do you give a damn about, civil rights, civil marriage and civil unions and marriage equality more than you care about ADOS? Do you give a fuck more about whether or not men who dress up as women can use women's bathrooms or compete in women's competitions more than you care about ADOS? Because if you do, then you're of no use to us. I don't give a damn if you share my lineage. I got your back, but you got to have mine. It's as simple as that. I don't care how you do ADOS, but you got to do it with me or you ain't going to get to do it at all. So fam, I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. As always, I hope I left you with some fat on your head. I tried to present the evidence, the information as to why intersectionality is the nail in the ADOS coffin. If we want to ensure our demise as a distinct lineage with a distinct and unique justice claim on this country, keep embracing intersectionality. Keep doing it. Keep conditioning your children to look at everybody's oppression. No. There can't be no new black until you've addressed the old black. I don't want to hear gay is the new black, orange is the new black. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Black is the old black. ADOS is the old black. And until you address us, I don't give a damn who else wants to be black. Fuck them. They can get in line. So, fam, until the next broadcast, which should be this Saturday, all things, if everything's all good and my health is right, it should be this Saturday. I'm angling for a Sucker Free Saturday broadcast. We're going to do it as usual and get it in. Until then, fam, as always, I want to leave you all with love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.